Hi students, this is Mrs. Johnston again. I wanted to bring you out here to where I am about to plant potatoes in my garden. If you recall, we did a soil nutrient test and a soil pH test, and we found out that pH for this soil was too high for potatoes. It was 8.0. Potatoes like it between 4.8 and 5.4. So I added organic soil acidifier, and the main ingredient in this is sulfur. So can you zoom in on that, Aubrey? So the sulfur lowered the pH, and I followed the instructions on the back to lower the pH by enough to take it down 3 points. Now that's a lot of lowering for the pH, but this should be more around 5.0, 5.4, which is going to be fine for potatoes. I also added blood meal, which had a nutrient level of 1200 on the front of the bag. So that meant that blood meal was 12% nitrogen and no phosphorus and no potassium, because if you remember, we didn't need any phosphorus or potassium, we only needed nitrogen. The organic blood meal will add nitrogen back into this soil. So now we're going to start planting our potatoes, and we've got them all cut up, and we've also allowed them to callus over. They look kind of ugly, but that actually helps the potatoes grow better. And we've spaced our first few potatoes out about a foot apart with the eyes facing up. So all you have to do to plant potatoes is take old potatoes and cut them so they have at least one eye on the piece that you're putting in the ground, and then just space them out about a foot apart. And once we get them all laid down in this trench, we're going to just cover them up, and they'll grow from these pieces of potato. Now potatoes are interesting because the way they propagate is something called asexual propagation. And this is where you're planting a piece of their stem. The potato that you eat is actually a stem, and you're going to get a new plant from that stem. And this is also how succulent plants like aloe propagate. You actually take another piece of the aloe plant and put it in the soil to get more aloe. So there's some crops that we plant that are propagated or, like made into new plants this way. So it's a different thing than planting a seed. Now, ideally, I would have planted these potatoes on St. Patrick's Day. That's the traditional day for planting potatoes, but I was a little behind my schedule. So today is April the 8th, and now I'm putting my potatoes out. And these are Yukon Gold potatoes, so I'm going to be able to harvest some of my own potatoes later on in the summer. So that's all there is to it. You're just going to cover them up with soil and make sure that they're covered well, and that's it. That's all you have to do to plant potatoes. So it's a beautiful day. Hope you guys are having fun. Happy spring break, and I will talk to you guys next week when spring break's over. See ya.